This show is made possible by support from landsharks.ca. Visit them for all your coin and swag needs at www.landsharks.ca. And by viewers like you. Thank you for your donations.
Groundspeak introduces favorites, Caching in New England, and exclusive footage of an elf in action. It's January 8th, 2011. This is Trackfiles. Hi there, and welcome to Trackfiles. I'm your host, Ice and Rye. Trackfiles is a video podcast featuring Cashy news, upcoming events, YouTube videos, major milestones, and podcast rewind. My website is trackfiles.tv. My email address is goiceandrye@iceandrye.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Trackfiles. And if you're a fan of the show, make sure you sign up for the Trackfiles Facebook fan page. So, what's new? Well, here we are well into 2011 now. And the Christmas season is finally over. How was your Christmas season? Mine was wonderful. I had a great time hanging around with friends and family and just enjoying the season in general. And as for Santa Claus, well, Santa Claus last year brought me an Oregon 450 GPS unit. Great little device. Haven't used it a whole heck of a lot yet. I'm still reading the owner's manual because this thing does quite a bit more than my previous 60 unit. And of course, one of the great things I'm looking forward to with the Oregon 450 is checking out the chirp chips. So I have to get some first. There are no chirp caches here in the Prince George area, but I'm sure we can do something about that. One of the fun side activities this past Christmas was a pair of local PG caches called Falling in the Woods and Destruction, who went looking for a cache called This Side Faces You. And in the process, they did a little Christmas decorating, left a little special gift for the rest of the Prince George and, in general, Prince George community. And it was this lovely little tree just off on the side of the trail, and they decorated it up all nice for Christmas, and it was a beautiful, beautiful little tree, and encouraged everybody to go there and take pictures and post it to their Facebook page. So just shortly after Christmas, I grabbed my camera and Roxy and Abel and headed out and took this nice picture here. Now, strangely enough, while I was there, an elf showed up. Interesting little character, this little elf. I figured he must have been an elf. I mean, he was wearing a green jacket, had a bright red hat on, and well, let's just watch what he was doing. So I'm not quite sure what that elf was up to, but if you're in the Prince George area and you know where that tree is, maybe you should check it out. Perhaps the elf left something behind. So that's enough small talk for now. Let's get into Cashy news. So for our first news article, we're just going down to Groundspeak headquarters, where Groundspeak's introduced favorites. Geocaching Favorites is a simple way to track and share the caches that you enjoyed the most. For every 10 caches that you have found, you will be able to favorite one exceptional cache in your find history. The favorites accumulated by a cache are displayed in search results and on the cache page so everyone can see which caches stand above the rest. Guys, what a great idea. I was a little confused one day when I went to my profile page and saw that I had X number of votes. And then I looked it up and saw what favorites was all about. And I've already gone out and voted on some of my favorite caches. So while we're at the lily pad, let's stay there for our next news article. It's the time for the next geocaching caption contest. What do you think, guys? Took prize, left cacher. I know you guys can do better than that. So as usual, I'll have links to the caption contest on my website at trackfiles.tv. Make sure you get over there, put in your logo for this contest, and maybe you can win a barely coveted prize. So for our next news article, we visit with the Dahlonega Nugget. High-tech treasure hunters descend on Dahlonega. It seems that X doesn't always mark the spot for some treasure hunters. In the Dahlonega Visitors Center, for example, a stack of bottled water points the way to a hidden trove. There, beneath a drink-filled mini-fridge, sits an unassuming green box known as a geocache, and although it's only filled with the Dahlonega-themed souvenirs, as opposed to gold, double balloons, or pirate gold, it's no less sought after. Chamber Tourism Director Stephen Smith says he can recognize a geocacher the minute one walks in the door. The tip-off is a GPS unit. I can pick him out, he said. I'll have fun with it saying, y'all been searching for a while. You're probably very thirsty. Guys, great article. As usual, visit my website, trackfiles.tv, for a link to the full-length article. From there, we travel to WKBN.com, where we read, Trumbull County residents spend time geocaching. The treasures are hidden all over Mahoning Valley, and right now there are dozens of high-tech treasure hunters searching for them. Jack Heineman is a retired Delphi worker from Cortland and has now become a modern-day treasure hunter. Just a few weeks ago, Heineman began geocaching, a high-tech treasure hunting game played throughout the world by adventure seekers equipped with GPS devices. The basic idea is to locate hidden containers called caches and then share your experiences online. And since this is a TV station, they had a TV report, and we're just going to roll a little bit of it right now.
There it is, look. See it? They hit it.
Meet Jack Heineman, a retired Delphi worker who lives in Cortland and now has become a modern-day treasure hunter. Just a few weeks ago, Heineman began geocaching, a high-tech treasure hunting game played throughout the world by adventure seekers equipped with GPS devices. The basic idea is to locate hidden containers called geocaches and then share your experiences online. Heineman says hundreds are hidden all over Trumbull County, including the Eastwood Mall area and here at Mosquito Lake.
But yeah, there's people that log all over here, and I was really surprised.
What a neat, it's a way to come out and you enjoy the lake and enjoy the...
There are dozens of these geocaches on this side and also on the bridle path over in the marina.
Heineman, his wife Robin, daughter and grandson took me along on a recent treasure hunt. It didn't take long to find a hidden treasure. Inside the box was a logbook that we signed. The treasure also included several trinkets, and whoever finds it can choose to take one and put something else in its place.
So another great TV report on the sport of caching. As usual, visit my site, trackfiles.tv, for a link to the full-length video. Well, that about wraps it up for news. Let's hit YouTube to watch some videos. So for this episode's YouTube video, I'm trying something a little different. This video was originally a television article on some friends of mine in Calgary and their dogs and dog sledding. Those of you who follow me on Facebook might have already seen the article, but for the rest of you, I'm going to feature it here on the podcast. Snowfiresams and all the dogs in this video are related to Roxy, her sister, her mother, her uncle, her brother, and aunts, uncles, and cousins all make up the Snowfire team. It's a great video, and it really makes me want to hop on a plane with Roxy, head to Calgary, and throw her on in the line and do some sledding myself. So enjoy dog sledding courtesy of the Snowfiresams and YouTube.
Guys? Hi guys! They're anxious to get out and into the snow. Meet the Snowfire Gang. 4 generations of Samoyeds raised by Paul Rintoul and his wife, Debbie.
Yes, we hear you. Originally, it was just one. I'm just going to have a pet. And then one grew into 2. Next thing you know, I'm breeding.
For more than 10 years, Paul and Debbie have been dog sledding. That's right. They go about 3 to 5 times a week every winter. When Paul first came to Debbie with the idea, she was in love with it from the beginning.
Said, we're getting a dog and this is what we're going to do with it. I'm going, yeah, that sounds like a good time.
And while the dogs strap in, it's a bit of a commotion. But as soon as Paul does this...
Hop, 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 hop! As soon as we let go and they're gone, they don't make a noise.
Paul races once in a while, but he mostly dog sleds for fun. He doesn't go very far to practice his hobby. Paul rides around in parks right here in Calgary, normally at night.
While many of us dread the freezing temperatures and the snow, Paul and his dogs embrace it. In fact, for these guys, the colder it is, the better the run.
I mean, the dogs run best if it's minus 20 or lower.
Or they might get overheated. And when the mercury plunges, the couple says there's nothing like a ride in the cold with their best friends.
Going on the ride in the sled, it's just absolutely exhilarating. It's just so much fun.
It's very peaceful, it's quiet, it's relaxing. I enjoy the company of the dogs. It's just getting outside and just enjoying the cold weather.
And if only all of us could think this way, perhaps winter would be a joyous time of year, even after the holiday season.
Hey, let's go! Hop, 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 hop.
Ryan Sang, CTV News, Calgary.
So what a great video. Paul and Deb, thanks for posting it on YouTube, and thanks for doing such a good job of creating Roxy. So now we have your method of transportation now taken care of. Let's find you someplace to go to. Let's check out this week's geocaching events. Upcoming geocaching events. All these events are scheduled for next Saturday, January 15th, 2011. First off, we start in Nanaimo, where we have the BCGA annual meeting and meet and greet, hosted by the BC Geocaching Association. Now, on a quick side note, if you're a geocacher in British Columbia, make sure you join up with the BCGA. The BCGA is essentially the geocacher's voice with the government, and they help work out geocaching policies, and they've done some great work in the past, including working with Parks Canada for establishing caching policies in our national parks. If you're a Lower Mainland cacher, the meeting's in Nanaimo, get your butt over on the ferry and go there and see what's happening in the rest of the province. And as for those of us up here, I believe there's a couple people from the Prince George area heading down, and they'll be representing us very well. Next, we travel to Eastern Canada, to Summerside, Prince Edward Island, for Puzzle Night number 1, hosted by Firefly 1957. And from there, we hit the U.S. Midwest, to North Lake, Illinois, where we have Breakfast at the Blustery Burbs number 7, hosted by GoCaching.com. So there you go, folks, just some of the upcoming events. And if you want to see more, check out my website, trackfiles.tv, where I'll have links to the geocaching event calendar. So now that you got your travel plans set, let's find something to listen to on that long flight. Time for Podcast Rewind. Podcast Rewind, taking a look back at this past week in geocaching podcasts. First off, we start with Cashy Maniacs, where Daryl and Dre interview Plumbrook Acres right here in Prince George. And they talk about some of his past caching adventures, including one of the most popular Prince George area caches. From there, we go to the Geocaching Podcast, where they have the January Caching Coffee. This is a time where everyone has an open mic and anyone can talk about anything geocaching related. And also new is Cachers of the Round Table, where they talk about listing services, a discussion on the multiple listing services now available to geocachers. So there you go, folks, and as usual, I have links to these podcasts on my website at trackfiles.tv. Check them out. Very good listening. Well, that about wraps up another episode of Trackfiles. I hope you enjoyed, but before I go, just a couple quick notes. First off, shout out to Landsharks at landsharks.ca for their continuing support of the Trackfiles podcast. As a matter of fact, that elf I saw a little earlier in the podcast, I think he might be connected with Landsharks in some way. I don't know, something just tells me that. Anyway, landsharks.ca, make sure you visit them for all your coin and swag needs. Also, shout out to all the financial contributors to the Trackfiles podcast. Guys, without your contributions, this podcast would not be possible. And if you'd like to contribute to the podcast, very easy. Visit my website, trackfiles.tv. Just look for the PayPal buttons on the right side of the menu. So one last little thing before I go. I'm having a little contest, just having some fun that I threw together at the last minute here. A couple weeks ago, I was helping the producer of another show looking for sound bites. And one of the sound bites he was interested in was one that I used to close my show. And I told him where he could find the original clip and who originally used this phrase and made it famous. So here's the contest. Follow Trackfiles on Twitter, real easy, at Trackfiles. Here's a phrase that I'll say at the end of the show. Direct message me, DM me, at Trackfiles on Twitter. First person that gets through with who uses this saying will win a coin from Landsharks. So you got it? Listen to the phrase, identify who originally said it and made it famous, DM me at Trackfiles on Twitter, win a coin from Landsharks. So, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another episode of Trackfiles I hope you enjoyed. So until the next episode, cash on. Boy, this episode was a ring-a-ding-dong dandy.